to parallel as close to 90 as possible. So I don't care I only care about one side. Is that better light or worse light? I can't see me.
Works.
Worse?
No, it works.
Oh, it works.
Yeah.
Important stuff. One thing is, obviously, see, wear your face shield at all times and turn it. Now, Phil and I both wear the same face shield. That allows us to breathe while we're turning. If you pull turning because you're never going to be fast, just make sure this is nice and tight. Spin it, make sure you're clear of your tool rest. And make sure your tool rest is at center. So I'm hitting right there, so I got to come back a little bit. So that's spinning, it's clearing. And making sure that's super tight into the thing. When I start the lathe, I turn the speed all the way down, so when I turn on the lathe, it doesn't move. Helps to put power onto your lathe. So I'm going to start out with the simple part. I'm going to flatten this side, and then I'm going to start making my curves up for the bottom, because the goal is to have your bowl. Hey, Joy, grab me a half turn bowl. Oh, I lost my helper. The goal is, this is how this is going to be on the lathe right now. So we're going to make it round, do the curve, make the tenon first. So face shield on, spin it, make sure it's clear. Speed's at 0, turn on the lathe. Speed up to where you're comfortable. To be about center, I'm a little high. I'm comfortable with that speed. You might be comfortable slower. I'm just going to scrape, try to flatten this side out. Make a flat spot here. Just trying to make a flat spot there for the tenon. That's nice and flat. Normally I would mark my tenon. Probably don't need to, but normally I would start marking. I have gauges that tell me how big my tenon is going to be. And then just start going up. So I go at 45s to start. And I make sort of the dog dish shape, because the goal is to make sure if you can see this one, you have a nice round curve, a continuous curve on the side, not make a dog dish or a base out of it. Speed up. I'm going to start doing 45, just clear material. I'm a little out of round, so I'm going to fix around along the length first. Always check where you're at. Make sure when you're spinning, always hand spin it. Check this again too to make sure you're always staying tight. Check your tailstock. I do it in stages going up. Make sure your gouge is nice and sharp at all times so that it's my defect, but it's okay. Tighten it up. I think I can go a little bit faster for me. And staying under 1,000, because under 1,000 you get, you're less likely to have the bowl blades go up in the air. So when you're doing this tool, traditional tool, hold the tool like this, fingers underneath. Don't do the death grip overhand. It's not needed, and then just come straight up. When you're coming up, hold the tool in the body. It should be like 45, 45. So your body should be at 45, tool about 45, and go through. If you're using 40, 40 grind, 40 degrees. And then use your body and your weight to do the pushing, not your hands. Make one last pass all the way up. I'm not moving that fast overall. So time to come back here, start making the shape. So I know I'm pretty clear there. I'm going to go to a smaller gouge because the beach is too big. So once again, tool like this in your body, holding it at the end. I prefer longer and heavier tool rest, but that's up to me. Everyone likes something a little bit different. So start shaping, get to 45. bowl shape. I might actually pretty deep for a bowl. So I'm getting a little far off the tool rest, but normally I would stop the lathe and bring it in. But I want to start establishing my tenon, where it's going to go. So I'm just going to come in here to about where I think it's going to be. So I don't use huge tenons, but you want to make sure when you're making your tenon, it will fit in your jaw both depth and width, and you want your jaws open about this far. When it's closed at the most, you don't want your jaws wide open, so size your tenon to your chuck. Also make sure if you have a dovetail, which mine are, that you make your dovetail and don't do a straight hold on a dovetail jaw, because you're not going to hold. So that's probably too deep for my chuck, but I got room to work. That's a little bit big. I'm moving fairly fast at this. So watch kind of your shape and curve as you're going up. How you do that is swinging your body as you do it instead of using your hand. If you just use your hand, so I've got my 45 almost done as far as I want it. I'm still making the little dog dish. I'm leaving room here because I need a place for my tenon, and I know that's way too big for my tenon because my tenon is about so big. So I know that's about my tenon right there. I'm just going to mark it. Bigger. When sizing your tenon, this has a lot of cracks and I'm not thrilled with that. When sizing your tenon, make sure that you're doing it correctly, not only for the jaws you're using, but use the appropriate jaws with the appropriate bowl. So these are our standard number 2 jaws, which are 50 millimeter, and that's fine for this size bowl. If you were doing something, I have one big enough here. If you're doing a larger bowl, you'd want
Hey, Chuck.
much larger.
Hey, Chuck.
So, yes, sir.
I
Yes.
had my back turned to the screen. Did you do the pencil on the on the live center trick?
No, you want to show that?
Yeah, if you can. I don't know if you can see or not. Let me get my camera closer.
You have a hot spot, but yeah, I can see it pretty good.
Okay, so if you've got the standard 50 millimeter like I do, you have your tailstock extended out enough, so your pencil lays on it. I got to get this off my face. Lay the pencil across the top of the live center. Just touch it on the wood, and just turn the wood till you get a circle. And that's the right size for your chop if you're using 50 millimeter.
Oh, wow.
Did everybody catch that?
Huh. I'm not excited about the blank I've got here. Okay, so I've got sort of the dog dish shape. What I'm going to end up doing is cutting this off to make it a little shallower bowl. This is kind of deep. Plus, we had a lot of cracks. So when I'm doing this, body, I'm holding it down. I'm barely holding, you can see my finger position. I'm just pulling down on the tool rest with this and moving my body. If I start doing other crazy stuff, like using my hands and stuff, that's where I'll get the chattering. This is a terrible blank. So I'm actually going to make this a shorter blank when I get there. Now we have your traditional dog dish shape, which we have to turn into a round. So I'm going to start here, pull out, use my body to create a curve. I'm going to make my tenon and turn it. I'm going to cut this off with the shorter bowl. So how do I make my tenon? A couple ways to do it. I'm not good enough to do it the Ellsworth way, but I get close. Take the small bowl gouge. Well, that's about as deep as I need to go now. If I was really good, I could do that and get a dovetail, but I'm not that good. So there's two ways to do it. You can use a dovetail tool or a skew, either one. So since a lot of people don't have the dovetail tool, I will use a skew to do it. So skew's got to be on center. You're going to have to raise your tool rest up, most likely. Get close enough. And your skew should have if you have dovetail jaws, this has to be dovetailed slightly. So if you have dovetail jaws, that's got to be dovetailed slightly. And then this has to be flat so you have a good spot to meet. So we can reverse it. I do it a little different than some people do, but I'm just going to pop it off of here. I'm going to turn my speed down on my lathe now so I know when I turn it back on, if I got a problem, I'm not going to get killed. Pop this out. With my big tack opener. So I'm using Big Mark Chuck that's direct red. I used Nova for years. I'm slowly switching over to Big Marks. I should have bought a bunch when I was in Australia because they were like a quarter of the cost there.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
I'm a noob, so was there a reason that you used the drive center to start out with? I thought that was maybe more just for spindle work. Is that okay to use on a bowl?
Absolutely. Depending on the size of the bowl. It was
Okay.
really big faceplate, but for something this size, I mean, I'm turning fast. Hey, look at that. I didn't measure good. It doesn't fit. Huh. Maybe it's not.
So it's just a choice then, right? Instead of using a faceplate or a chuck screw.
Yeah. Phil was going to talk about that a little bit. You want to talk about that, Phil, while I cut this in half? I'm pretty close to it. The reason I like these Big Mark jaws is you can really crank down on them. And first time I used a Big Mark Chuck was about this time last year in the Carolinas. And I'll tell you, it's an amazing chuck. Right, so we can try to get some shape. I'm actually going to do something kind of... Hey, Phil, are you there? Oh, he's muted. Can you unmute him, Jeff?
What's that?
Is that you, Phil? You were going to talk about the different types of, do you want to be spotlighted? Because they asked about faceplate versus screw chuck versus me doing it between centers. And you and I talked about that.
Phil is still muted.
Can you unmute him?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so I'm turning on a screw chuck, and the screw chuck I have goes right into my my regular chuck, so I don't have to do what Chuck did to bang it out. Not that that takes very long, but so basically that's a woodworm screw. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
So I've drilled a hole in the top of my blank, and then I've threaded it into that worm screw.
But is there a advantage or doing the worm screw over a center or a faceplate?
Well, the faceplate's probably the best as far as strength.
Yeah.
The worm screw's not as strong, and if you've got a soft piece of wood, it'll tear out sometimes. The biggest advantage of turning between centers like Chuck is doing is you can adjust the blank as you go. So if you want to try to balance, like if you see the blank that I have, you know, I've got some sapwood on either side. It's pretty well balanced, but sometimes the wood won't be balanced to start with. And so if you do it between centers like Chuck did, you can balance the wood better. And if you want to have an even sapwood on each side, or you want to even the grain out, that's the biggest advantage turning between centers.
Okay.
Ellsworth is a big proponent of turning between centers, and so is Jameson.
Is
Again,
there
for that reason, because they're turning artistic bowls, they want to balance the grain patterns out. especially
Was
when
there-
they're doing they have them turned around and they're doing a natural edge.
Is there a size constraint though? I think for the blank size that you would not use the center.
You can use centers up as big as you want.
Okay.
It
From a
just depends
safety,
on what center you use.
just from a safety standpoint, yeah.
And I've got a center that's meant for turning bowls. I don't know if you can see that or not.
If you can just move it down a little bit. You're at the top. There you go. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty big.
So this has got a big,
Yeah.
I can't turn it off, but it's got a big cap on the end as well as a point.
Right.
This is made for doing bowls, but you can turn just with a regular, spur center too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Okay.
just trying to drive it until you can get that tenon on the bottom.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
All right. Does that answer your questions?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for your help. Appreciate that.
No problem. I'm gonna go back on mute.
Okay.
Keep my bulb like a little shorter. I'm not thrilled with the shape, but that's okay. We can refine it later. So now, if you're making a basic bowl, you got some design choices and decisions to make along the way. Like, do I want a rim? Don't I want a rim? How thin do I want it, etc. If you're really excited today, there's at noon after you don't have enough turning in. Mud Lucas is doing one on making a thin bowl. It's $10. I'm not good. Just poured this out just to get a better thing. So, but I regularly check my jaws to make sure they're tight. Because I do not want it to fly off. I just want to get that rim off. Then the shape. So I put it back on. It's got a little wobble when I reversed it. If I was turning green to store later so I could finish turning this, I'd get it closer, but that's just rough. But if I'm going straight to the bowl from here, then yeah. So kind of try to refine the shape a little bit. Decide if it's going to sit military and sit on the ground, or put a foot on it. Turn as fast as you feel safe. I'm not Jimmy Clues, but I am turning faster than I recommended each turner turning. But once you get used to it, the faster you can turn, the smoother your stuff. I'm just trying to reshape this a little bit so it doesn't look project. I know I'm getting dull, believe it or not, a little bit. So I stay set up to sharpen. You want me to turn and show that? Turn it around. So here's my sharpening system. Can you guys see that? So I have 2 grinders that are dedicated, so I don't have to move anything. The one over here is 220 CBN. It's set up for traditional bowl gouges. That platform over here, I don't know if you can see this one, that's 180, and that's set up for my 40-40 grind bowl gouges. So I just use a jig. It's from, can't think of the guy's name, Tom Ford. So I'm all set to sharpen. I don't have to do anything. This stays fixed here. This is ready to go. Once it's all set, that's all I got to do. So I'll finish shaping a little bit on this side. Then we'll talk about finishing the inside. Remember, face shield down, check your tool rest height. Tool rest height should be at the center of the gouge when it's about parallel to the ground with your rib. That's probably a little high. I just do this to test it, so that's a little bit better. I want to make this a little bit more round, so I'll start at the top with light cuts. And as I go further down, get heavier cuts to get my shape better. So it's a little bit better shape than I thought it was, not much. Better than it was. You were going to scrape. I got a fairly good finish because the tool's sharp. But if I were to need to, I would take a negative rig scraper if I wanted to get to this point. Should be at center. Use this. I'm going to go across slightly. And your finish will improve. So I took a class last year with Ashley Harwood at her shop, and the rule is up before scrape, scrape before sand. Sand is a last resort, just for finishing. So you should be as close to good here as possible. So your sand ready finish. You shouldn't be sanding to get stuff out, get out defense. I did not put my swing away on yet. I do have the swing away for this, so I've got to lift this piece off. I'll try to do it. Okay. I usually try to determine at this point, now that I'm here, how wide I want to be. But first thing I'm going to do is, because this is a little bit bigger gouge. Couple ways to do it. Pulling across is easiest. Get the same distance, but you don't get the center being there. That was fairly close. I'm hoping this doesn't blow up. It's got a bunch of cracks. Okay. For those who haven't seen me do a demo or anything before, these are the coolest tool handles ever. Made by Stuart Batty. They're sold by Woodworkers Emporium. These are carbon fiber. They don't roll. They're super lightweight, but I have mine filled with shot. They have a bolster that screws in the bottom. And so if you want to sharpen, you can sharpen with just this and not have the weight of the length of the handle. This is the 20-inch handle. Yeah, they had the 24 and something else. Yeah, that's the 20. So for turning the center, I've seen people do it a number of ways. One way you usually see is somebody start in the center. I gotta get this out of the way. The tail stuff. You see them scoop the whole thing out. If you're scooping, this is end grain. I would not scoop all the way across, because what's going to end up happening is you'll notice you'll struggle. So let's start here. That's low. If you're scooping the whole way, all the way, and going all the way as deep as you can every time, you're going to be killing yourself. So what I learned in my class in Charleston was, don't do that. Go straight in. Use your thumb as a lever. Use your thumb as a lever and go in. And you're going to make a series of rings out to where you think you want your depth to be. So I think I want my thickness. So I think I want my thickness to be here. And I'm just going to go in and do small cuts, straight in. You'll get the thumb as a backstop. Once you have rings, you're cutting in and you're not going to have as much tail. As I failed to show it here. I got a set of rings all the way down. I just keep doing that all the way until I get to where I can do the final shaping. Once you get to here, you got to start thinking about your final cuts. You're going to do them as you go down. And I'll clean up the room first since I made a mess of it. So if you're thinking thickness here, handle out. Make your cut in. Hey, we're going to have a smaller handle. time dull, so I'm going to sharpen this. I'm going to pop it off. My grinder's always set for this.
Quick question. Do you hone between sharpening?
I do not. That's why I use CBM. I know a lot of people hone between sharpening. I don't.
Yeah, for me.
So I can reduce vibration. I'm going to think rim and how thick I want it. So I don't need to try to go back for a while or at all. That's fairly thin. Not horrible. Back at the center till I get down to about this height. Set a range and then come down the side again. Kind of get your wall thickness. I have a fairly good finish all the way through. It's pretty smooth. It's thin. Blow up on me. I have some depth left. I'm about here. Hopefully I won't go through the bottom. Just come across. So I'm on my bottom third. So when I'm this far down, I'll try to get this a little closer in here. Then I'll switch to a bottom bowl gouge. Full rest. Keep it closer. When I'm using the bottom bowl gouge, I'll be out further. I don't know if you can hear that, but I have a little bit of vibration in here. And I'm only about 2/3 of the way down. As this gets thinner, that's going to vibrate more. So you have less material here. It'll move, and you can probably see it's already moved a little bit. But I'm going to try to get in a little further. I usually go to a smaller gouge for that. With a longer handle, just to make a good finishing cut. And it's usually right off the grinder. Going to pick up my cut in here. That's how So you can see when I get to the bottom of it, it starts bouncing on this because this gouge isn't meant, it's kidding. It's not meant. So let me find my bottom bowl gouge real quick. So this is a traditional bottom bowl gouge. If I were to buy one again, this is a D-Way, which is a good one, but it's got a long flute. Doug Thompson actually makes a custom one for Ashley Harwood because you don't use this much, so you don't need to sharpen it a whole lot. The flute's only that long. So you don't have a lot of tool steel, but you're not sharpening it a lot. But this long flute will create some vibration depending on how deep you are. And the traditional thing for doing it is, center it as close to center as you can, or a hair below center. That's the high. That's better. There's some mathematical formula on Stuart Caddy's website. That longer handles are better. This is a 24. A couple people who took the class with me bought the 30s and said it makes a huge difference. But the idea is I can be this far off the tool rest because I have more leverage over here. And all I'm doing is coming in straight and trying to finish that bottom. I'm terrible with this thing. It takes a lot of getting used to. I did a lot of practice goals. The idea is you're going straight across and you're making your bottom. like sort of a doggy dish. It still can be deeper on the bottom. Check my depth with the gauge I got right here. Oh, I got half an inch to the bottom. But I could take a little bit more off starting right there. That's better. So it's got a decent shape. This can handle the curve better. So when you're starting it, you put your hand down on it. This is flat, the handle is flat. Start here, or start in your bottom third and just work your body around and create your bottom. I always end up I turn like 50 bowls a year and I still end up grabbing the scraper. Grab the traditional scraper. I sharpen mine on an 80 grit CBN. It's because I like the big burr. When you're using a scraper, it's got to be slightly above center, and then just come around and make your shape. Start at the inside. Improve the shape a little bit, took out the bumps. Got a little bump here, but it's going to vibrate because this is so thin.
Chuck, what kind of tool is that again?
This is a scraper, a bowl scraper.
Is it negative rake or is it just regular bowl scraper?
This is a regular one. This is a negative rake here. So the difference is this has one bevel. The negative rake has two. There's a whole thing on negative rake scrapers on Stuart Betty's website. It's quite an amazing thing. I didn't turn my traditional bowl scrapers into that because I still use the negative rake after it to get a better finish. But yeah, these will give you more shape. When they scrape, they don't cut. Not thrilled with my rim, so I'm going to take a negative rake scraper to my rim and just I do it upside down. These only work in one direction because you have a burr on one side. And negative rake scrapers, they only hold their edge for about 15 seconds. So I left my grinder on. I'm just going to come here and hit it once on the grinder. You can see there's a difference. So to take the bottom off, there's a bunch of different methods. Bill did a whole demo on bottoms.
Oh, yeah. We can talk about bottoms a lot. But...
So if you have a vacuum chuck, which I do, I will do half a dozen bowls at the same time. This one's got a lot left. I can do some shaping on this because I left a good amount on the outside to get rid of this. You can just put it up against this with a, open your jaws up, put a pad in here. But if I'm going to do this and I'm not going to use, a vacuum chuck, what am I using, Phil?
Rubber chuckies, it's all kinds of jam chucks. Or you can also use coal jaws.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm trying to find my traditional tools. So, yep, so you can use the pad. You can just put a pad in between your chuck.
Yeah, yoga pads are good.
Yoga pads are good. Phil, you should remember this. He had Al Sturt at his office. Al he finds divers who have crappy diving suits and buys them.
Hey,
Coach
Chuck?
Ross, this is a Longworth job. I actually prefer this to vacuum. My wife has the opposite idea. But I like these. I seem to not have, I can center better on this. So it's a little bit more setup. It just fits in this goes in the jaws. And then these, you spin these up in them.
Can you,
Hey, Chuck.
Yeah. Yes.
Chuck, this
Jeff,
is
can you highlight me for a second? I'll talk a little bit about centering when you turn it around.
Yep. Hold on.
Okay, I want to let you guys know that John Elliott has his hand up.
Elliot, what would you like?
So, you guys see my tool? Are you hearing me?
Let me
Put it over
highlight
here. Okay, highlight my overhead, the iPhone.
Okay, I'm trying to see what John Elliott's talking about. Okay, John, show your tool.
Here's mine.
Where are you, Phil? You want your overhead?
Yeah, Phil's overhead.
Hey, can you spotlight him, Jeff? I can't spotlight.
Who am I trying to spotlight?
Phil's overhead camera.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, so this is a tool I picked up from Don Geiger. I really love this tool. I think I talked about it in one of my demos. But what this tool does, let me grab a chuck.
Yeah, I have that too.
So if you have your chuck and you got a bowl mounted in your chuck and you turn it off, you just take it off the lathe, take the whole chuck and the bowl off together. This piece goes in the back of the chuck. And it's got a drill hole in the center, and this is a drill. This drill goes in to there and drills the bottom of your foot that you have, for your pennant. This gives you the exact center. So when you turn the bowl around, you can find it. Another way you can do it is if you turn between centers like Chuck did, he probably has a point at the center. But this gives you a way, like I had to take my point off because I was turning a bowl that didn't have a smooth bottom to begin with. Chuck started with a flatter bottom. So when I took mine off with the chisel, I lost my center point. So this would give me a center point back by running the drill in. And then the other tool that goes with that is when you take your tailstock, and they have a little point that goes in the tailstock that's the same size as that drill. So when you turn your bowl around, you run this into that hole and it centers it up for you. So whether you're working on a vacuum chuck, you're working on a Longworth, anything, it gives you a good center on your bowl. And you can do the same thing if you have a center point from turning it originally and use your tailstock center to center it up. This tool is just a step up from using a regular center.
Yeah. The other thing you can do, similar to Don Geiger. Let me put my tailstock back up. This is where my wife comes in. Based on the Don Geiger thing, can you switch to me?
Yeah.
My spotlighted.
Chuck, I'm seeing, all I'm seeing is you.
Okay. So this goes on the back of your chuck. So if you left the bowl like Phil said on the chuck, you put this in the back of the chuck, put the bowl on it, put that in the tailstock, and then you can slide your bowl up. And it'll be centered on this. If you're using vacuum chucks, you take this out. I'm going to go the traditional route for people so they can see, if you don't have any of these tools, how to do it with just a live center rubber chucking here. I don't know if anyone saw me put that in. Don Doyle makes these great.
Can we change the camera?
So here they are. That just fits in. It has an arbor on the back. I don't know where my arbor went. Or you
Can the
put
view go
arbor-
back? Can the view go back to the person who's demoing?
Put that in. Slide this up on here. Okay. This is supposed to be no mar. We'll assume it is. Put that up. I've already still got a hole from, sorry about that, from my tail center before. So I'm going to get it close. I'm just going to put it back in that hole. Lock my tail down. Slide this in. I should be pretty close when my feet go down to show you this. That's fairly close. Can you see it? I can't see me, so it's
I can't see the
enough.
guy. I can't see the guy doing the demo. I'm seeing an overhead shot of someone else. Can anyone fix that?
Let me see what I can do.
Okay, because
I don't
I'm
know if I
seeing
can
the
do
demo on a 1x1 square.
Hey, Jeff, thank you. Can you switch to me?
Well, I'm showing Chuck is being highlighted.
I'm seeing a guy with a green shirt
That's me.
scratching his arm.
Chuck,
Yep.
There we go. Ah, thanks.
okay, thanks, Chuck.
Yeah, thank you.
Chuck and I are both signed in as a host, so it kind of took away some of my control.
Gotcha. Yeah, thanks.
I would have known I would have signed in as me instead of the host, and then we both would have had a little bit more control. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this without having anything to hold it. Where's my whole gouge I was using? Want to make sure gouge is sharp, and then you start. I wanted to reshape this a little bit. I have room. It's spinning okay. It's in a little off, but no one's ever going to notice that. And so just press that center, so I'm a little low. I have the hole, like set for my live center. I have to pull away, which is really a pain in the butt. I'm trying to find a chisel gouge. This is how David does it. He doesn't vacuum chuck. This is all he does. I tried it. We'll see how we do it. It's not that hold it good. It's spinning. I'm going to fix the outside real quick because it's a little off. I have a couple choices on that. One is that looks pretty good because it's kind of thin too. I could come down this once and try to, no one's going to notice it, by the way. Maybe small shading cut. As it gets heavier as I go down and change. I like my shape a lot better, it's a lot smoother. I can use my negative grade on it now. I've got roughly the shape I want. I know I want a flat bottom on this because I want to pretend it's utilitarian. This tool will not be shaped. It's just too fine. So I like my finish. I'm about there, and now I can just take the bottom itself off. You want to be at center, and you want to cook in as much as you can. This way, you want to forward the headstock to remove it. If you go this way, you go across, you could shift it on what it's holding. And you can make bigger sizes. So that's pretty close. I need to get it where it's full and table. Now we can go across the back. Not quite concave yet. Leave it up to this point, switches to a spindle gouge, a very small detail gouge to go down into it. I gotta check my negative grade. Anything with all that out. Flat, probably. Definitely got a gap, so I'm good. I got a small enough gap. Right, and just keep it in the spindle. Right. Remember the idea with the spindle gouge, just cut downhill. So how else would keep saying that? You can make the path here. not that little piece is holding it pretty good. I like the finish on the edge there, but I really don't have much of a choice. I'm going to take it down a little bit. I'm sure I don't have enough meat to do this. All right. That won't fit, as you can see. So we're going to go back to the spindle gouge. Just keep coming in with this. Believe it or not, I don't know if you can see that very well. But there is not much overlap. So you would have sanded all this inside and out. I'm not going to make you sand today. You would have sanded all this inside and out before doing that. And then this, you can just hand sand off. You can put like your sanding arbor into here and push it up. You can do it on a drill press. You can do it by hand. I do it by hand usually with the drill. I try to hold it down and use the drill if I was doing that. Duragrit makes a little product Greg Smith got me. That's a little thing that will smooth this out. It's concave. It's wide sanding. Spindle gouge, and that's all that was holding it. That little piece. But it worked, and even after I snapped the piece off, it still spun with friction. And all I did was use a little detail gouge to do that. Fill me. No, it's cheap. It's not perfect. If it was me, I would have probably made the bottom a hair smaller. But it's utilitarian, so you don't want it to move. Mike Mahoney says utilitarian bowls are a third at the bottom. That's probably close. Give or take. Probably a hair. Could have made it a little bit smaller. If it was decorative, you'd put a foot on it. But yep, this I'll leave upstairs so my daughter can put all her tip money in an attempt to pay me back. So I need a much smaller bowl. Any questions? So not this week, but the week after, I have a week off of work. So if anyone wants to come over and any of the new turners want to come over and make a bowl or whatever, you're more than welcome to come over and do that. Check out the tools, the grinders, stuff like that. More than welcome to. Like I said, I got a whole week off of work. The week leading up to the 4th, including I know the weekends I'm tied up doing yard work. Yay, and landscaping. But yeah, so what's hours we can do one. This is drier green, and then get to this point like this, and then I would finish turn this basically using seeds. And don't worry, the rumor is false that if you come to my shop, you have to help clean up. Cracked box elbow bowl, you can actually see some light through it. It held up. I was surprised. But it'll be nice. So.
Thanks, Chuck.
Welcome.
Yes, thank
Henry,
you, Chuck.
should come-
It's a great demo.
Oh, thank you.
Dad?
Yep.
Did you put that chalk in?
Yep.
Okay.
We got somebody on chat. Paul
Oh,
Johnson says, thank you, Chuck.
You're very welcome. Next time I'm gonna have 3 cameras set up. I'm getting a hub, so in a remote, so I can be as cool as Matt Harper. So
Cool.
I ordered it didn't come. It was supposed to come yesterday. I ordered a mini keyboard and 2 cameras. I was gonna use my DSLR, but I decided it's too dusty. So.
I'm anxious to see how that new camera works out.
Yeah, the $99 came from China camera.
Yeah.
That's 4K. Yeah, we'll try it. I ordered one of those. I ordered 1 or 2. I ordered one of those. I ordered a switcher. I could not find a capture card, so I'm going to just use Zoom to do the capture. And then, because I'm not going to live stream on OBS. And then, yeah, I bought a hub to do the switching between 3 cameras. So, and the remote. Hopefully that will, next one will be kind of cool. Alrighty.
Okay. So does anybody have any questions out there? You'll have to unmute.
Or just wave and we'll unmute you.
What's that?
Or just wave and we'll unmute you.
So I've been recording this, so I'll use this to practice my editing and get it up on YouTube.
Oh, you know what? I got to send you that other last month. I forgot to do it. I downloaded it yesterday.
Yeah.
Uh,
And if you want to use Dropbox and just send me the access information, I can do it that way too.
the CD one to your CD Gmail.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got my bowl done too, but I need to take the bottom off yet.
I didn't take the bottom off. I want to sand this and put it into my craft show stock. So it's a nice
I got
piece of
mine
mulberry.
sanded.
Bill's has a nicer shape than mine.
But it's a cedar. It's really soft, but I did get it sanded.
Wait, you sanded during the demo too?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I didn't do any sanding. This was mine. Nice piece of mulberry. I found on the floor behind my table saw.
I love mulberry.
I should look back there more often.
I love mulberry. It's one of my favorite woods to turn.
Yeah, that's the first one I turned is mulberry. It's pretty cool. Looks like it's an open grain.
It will turn chocolate brown over time.
It'll what?
It will turn chocolate brown over time.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
Somewhere between a dark caramel and a, yeah, we have I did, but it's up our everything. Our floors just got done in our living room. I have a hollow form I turned, and I have to keep turning it because one side's stronger than the other now.
Oh, okay.
Purple Heart, it's actually, when I did it, it was bright yellow, and I really liked it. Not quite Powermatic mustard yellow, but it's now chocolatey brown.
Okay, cool.
It's awesome.
Well, maybe
I love
if I save it long enough, I can sell it as walnut.
The mystery wood.
The mystery wood.
Logwood.
Oh, now you're getting too expensive wood.
Found on ground, yeah. Or as this one was, I know it's cedar now, but when I started, it was fogwood. It was found in garage.